Today we are going to be making blackberry jam from frozen blackberries. Yes, I will be using sugar, pectin, and we're keeping the seeds. I'll go into full detail and share exactly why I chose those decisions. I've narrowed it down to a recipe out of the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. I wanted something that was a little bit easier to make than some of the traditional no pectin blackberry recipes. When you're doing a no pectin, you have to make sure that you're boiling it correctly. It's like 20 minutes. It's a much longer time than if you use your pectin. Also, when you freeze your fruit and then use it in a jam, you've broken the cell walls. And when you break the cell walls of that fruit, you actually lose the pectin in the fruit. Not all of it, you just lose some of it. Because pectin is just for texture. It's really not even a shelf-stable thing. I just don't want to lose the consistency that we want. Okay, this has a lot of sugar in it. This is how much sugar we are going to use. I know it is a ton and it kind of gives me a heart attack, but we eat clean everywhere else in our diet. Like, I don't keep sugary snacks on hand or ice creams. Maybe once a month we'll make cookies because it's fun, but we really do not reward ourselves with snacks and things. So I don't mind using a little bit of jelly on my sandwiches. I'm not going to go into great detail on washing jars or the act of how to water bath can or how I set up my kitchen. If you're interested in some of those other details, while I don't have a water bath canning course, I do have a pressure canning course, and a lot of the information in those two things that you do overlap. So if you want to check out my new course, it is in the link below. It has printouts, it has all kinds of information that just makes you a better canner in general. I will also link this book to my Amazon affiliate link. Let's get started on this recipe. Okay, so let's talk about why I always choose jam. Most of the time I do like apple jelly. So the difference between a jam and a jelly is made from the juice of the fruit and jam contains the whole fruit. And why I like that is because you're going to get a lot more fiber, nutrients, antioxidants, minerals, vitamins, everything. I also leave the seeds in, and while they do annoy me a little bit when I'm eating, I don't want to create more work for myself. So when I give it to the kids, I don't make a big deal about the seeds, don't really even notice. They eat the fruit raw with the seeds, so why would I create more work and a whole nother habit for them? This is how the fruit was intended to be canned. Again, seeds have nutrients and antioxidants and different things in them as well, so let's just keep it in there. If for some reason it's not something you want to keep in, I suggest straining it. You will lose some of your pulp, so you're going to lose some fiber, you're going to lose some nutrients, but if it's just a deal breaker for you, just strain it out. This is a super simple recipe, guys, so we're going to get through this really fast. I pulled out my blackberries the night before. I let them sit on the counter a little bit, and then I moved them into the fridge for overnight. This gets them a little bit softer. There will be a lot of juice. You want to keep that. The recipe calls for 5 mashed cups of blackberries. And the other day when I made it, I used 5 of these, and it only ended up making 4 of those pint jars. So what I'm going to do, since I didn't mash them, I just like to kind of just do it in this bowl. I'm going to probably put closer to 8. All right, so some tools you're going to need is you're going to need a big pot. Do not use aluminum because the acidity of the berries can react with it. You can use stainless steel. You can use a cast iron, which I can't really imagine that. Or you can use a enameled cast iron, which is what I'm using. You'll also need, for the mashing, a potato masher. This is a meat masher, it's all I have. And I like to use a wooden spoon too to kind of press up against the berries. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to mash all these berries. And for jam, don't be afraid of sugar. I mean, if you're eating out a lot or having processed foods all the time, maybe you should stop those things first before worrying about the sugar in your jam. I mean, how often are you actually eating jam and all of that? A little bit really isn't that bad. I always say moderation. Cut out the processed foods, the extra sugars. I mean, Twizzlers and M&Ms and candies. I know sugar's not great, but sometimes you just gotta live. And in this case, the sugar is making our food shelf stable. It's what it's helping with. The berries don't need to be sweetened. They are sweet enough, but you don't get shelf-stable food if you don't add sugar. So if you're worried about sugar, I would not water bath can. I would put them in jars, leave a good amount of headspace, and freeze them if you have the freezer space, and just consume them pretty quickly once you unthaw them. But I find things get lost in my freezer. I probably should just make a sheet for that too, like for inventory. But I like the idea of like power were to go out like in a storm or something. I've got this and I don't have to be in and out of my freezer too much. All right, this is looking really good. All right, some tips. You really want your jars and your lids, which I need to start. All right, so I got those on here. You do not want to boil the lids, remember that. But you really want these guys ready to go because this is gonna move quickly. It's like literally 5 minutes from start to finish and they'll be ready to go into the jars. So you want all your other tools and supplies ready to go. I've got my ladle out. I've got my sugar ready to be added, my pectin, my funnel. I mean, we are ready to go. And then we're gonna add the powdered pectin to this, okay? Make sure you stir it in really well. You want it fully dissolved. All right, see some of these clumps? We wanna make sure we get them nice and stirred in. You'll be using a whisk when you bring it to a boil. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. We're gonna crank the heat up to high. We're gonna bring it to a boil very quickly. It will boil quickly. And you kind of want to keep stirring this on and off because we don't want it to burn on the bottom of the pan. When it comes to a boil, we will add our sugar and we will stir and we will keep stirring that until we have a rapid rolling boil. When it hits that just rapid boil, it's gonna be really hot. So be careful because sometimes it splatters. Set a timer for 1 minute and you're gonna want it to rapid boil for that entire minute. When the minute is up, you can pull it out and set it here on your towel. That's hot. All right, so you see how that's boiling, just like rolling boil, all of that. The reason we have to heat our jars up to 180 is because this is so hot. If you were to drop this hot jam into those jars, they will crack. All right, so we're gonna fill our jars now. I'm at 180. When you're doing this hot method, what you wanna do is you wanna keep everything hot. So we'll pull out one jar at a time so the jars don't cool out when they're sitting on the countertop. Okay, I've got my ladle. We don't need to pressure can this because fruits have very high acid levels, so they don't need to be pressure canned. Also, when you pressure can, it reaches a much higher temp. That can break down the pectin and ruin the gel, darken your fruit, and give your jam this overcooked taste. I'm gonna debubble this. We want to make sure there's no air pockets in there. It's just sliding it around the glass, real easy. So we need a 1/4 inch headspace. It's this little bitty one you're going to line up on the edge of the jar. It's very important to get the right headspace when making jam and jelly because it's going to help it set. Do you see how it's not touching? We need more jam in that. I don't know, I think it's now too deep. So we're going to take a little bit out. It was that chunk that overdid it. I like that. Too much, it'll overflow. Too little, it won't set right. Perfect. Okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna give everything a quick wipe down. This glass is so hot, so be careful. Definitely kind of want to be careful if you have like pets or little kids in the house. This spilling on them would hurt so bad. Okay, my magnetic lifter. Come here, put it on top, grab my ring, and just tighten it. And then you want it fingertip tight. Pick it up, put it back in, and we are ready for our next jar. We're just going to continue this process till they're all filled or the jam is all gone. Stick around to the end because if there's extra jam, I'm going to show you what I do with it. Whew. So I didn't get 7 jars again this time, even though I added a little bit more fruit. I don't want to move from the recipe too much without like confirming that I can use more fruit because I do need it shelf stable. We're going to have these hopefully sitting, you know, for maybe a year. We go through stuff a lot, but I'd like to have other fruits intermingled with this so we can rotate different flavors. The box of pectin says to use 8 cups of fruit, which would give me probably what I need. So I'm going to try that again. And in my log sheet, I'm going to write down what I did with this batch and what I do with the next batch, and kind of keep track of which one, you know, performs best, or if there's any differences. Blackberries are very forgiving and a very shelf-stable fruit in general. So I'm not that stressed. I'm just kind of irritated because I don't want to run a whole water bath can batch without filling it up, but that's okay. So, but this is a good example to show you guys. I am out of fruit. I'll probably scrape this out into here. So obviously this did not come up to the 1/4 inch of headspace. So I don't want to water bath can it because it won't set right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it sit out on its own, and I'm going to put it in the fridge. We will just eat this. It will still last up to 10 days in the fridge. I'm going to pour the remainder of that vinegar in here. I have super hard water, so this will help with that, to keep the, you know, that white powder, that's just a mineral buildup. Let me give you a peek on the inside. Put the lid on, set it to high. I got this water bath canner on Amazon. I will link it too. I like it because on top it has kind of like a little zone, and it tells you, you know, when it's in the green, which means go. When it comes to that green area, or just if you don't have that, a full rolling boil, you will start a 10-minute timer. After the 10 minutes, you're going to turn the stove off, and you're going to take the lid off and just let it come up to temperature a little bit for about 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes. And then you can take them out and put them on your towel. You don't want to put them right on the countertop. I'll let the jars in general sit for 24 hours. Now when you take them out, make sure you're not tilting them around. You don't have to get that water off. You can just let it sit, it'll evaporate. I have a lot of information about what to do if you don't get a good seal in my pressure canning course. A lot of the things overlap with the water bath canning and the pressure canning. So please go check that out. I would love to hear your thoughts on it and see what you think, and if you learned something. It does help our family when you support our digital courses or anything else I have to offer. If you like this, please subscribe, leave a comment. What else would you like me to cook or can? It's almost lunchtime here, so I need to feed these busy kiddos. Probably use this blackberry jam on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Thank you for being here. As always, I will see you next week. In your jam mixture into, oh my God, a chicken went up into that thing. We need to check for eggs up there. Focus. Okay.